Hey guys, I'm Twan, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about the Type 97 LMG. But before we get into that, I just want to ask, if you're new here, please click that like button and consider subscribing. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the Type 97 is a really interesting LMG in my opinion. I feel like it would be a lot better had the TTK not changed in Battlefield. It kind of falls into the same boat as the bar, where it could be a good LMG, but it really just doesn't have the damage or the magazine capacity to be warranted over like the MG42 or the Browning. And even in regards to other LMGs, like the Lewis gun has a slow rate of fire like this gun, but it has a huge advantage in having a massive magazine. Or even the FG42 and the bar, the reason they're so good is, yes, they don't have a lot of shots, but they fire really quickly. And this gun shoots, I think, almost 250 rounds a minute slower than the bar, and I think even more slower than the FG42. So it kind of puts it in a weird place where, like, yes, you can use it, but it's kind of difficult and you'd be a lot better served with some other options. So enough about that. Let's take a look at how this gun was used in real life in World War II by the Japanese Army. The Type 97 was designed as a heavy tank machine gun, and it was the standard machine gun for all the Japanese Imperial Army tanks and armored vehicles. And there was also a variant that could be used as a heavy machine gun by infantry forces, and they did this by making the barrel a little bit shorter and changing the sight on it. But the issue is that the gun was so heavy that it was rarely ever used in this way. They actually designed a completely different model that looked the same but functioned differently internally, and took some of the weight off of it. It was about 3 pounds lighter. But ultimately, the original tank version was about 27 pounds, which is extremely heavy to be carrying around. And even if you're posted with it, like in a machine gun nest, it is pretty hefty to swivel around and whatnot. Also, this gun in real life used maximum a 20 round detachable box magazine. In Battlefield, we see it with a 25 round magazine, which honestly isn't really enough for it in the game. But in real life, they used it with a 20 round box magazine. And the cartridge that this gun fired was a 7.7 by 58 millimeter Arisaka round. And so that is the same round that is used by the Type 99 rifle, the Arisaka rifle. So the last thing of note about the Type 97 in real life was that it was based on a Czech design that was also used to create the British Bren gun. And so these two guns play very similar to each other, where they both have a slower rate of fire, and they're also very large, hefty guns with a smaller detachable box magazine. With all that covered, now we can take a look at how this gun plays in Battlefield, and really quickly I just want to show you guys how to unlock the gun. So you unlock it through the Tides of War screen. The first objective is to call in one squad order. After this, as a squad, you have to call in 40,000 requisition points. Next, you have to revive one squad mate, followed by complete 10 squad orders. Lastly, you have to capture 12 objectives, and after you do all these, it will unlock the Type 97 at weapon level 0 for you to use. So the last little bit here is about how I play with this gun in Battlefield. And first off, for the specializations, I just went straight right side because I feel like that makes it the most balanced and the most easy to control when you're using it. So for my overall impressions of this gun, honestly, it's not terrible. I don't feel like it's the worst gun in the LMG class, but honestly, it's not my first choice. There are so many other guns that I feel like I would have a better time playing with, and honestly, at times getting clips for this video is kind of difficult, just because it has a slower rate of fire and a small magazine. It still runs out quickly, but it also has a slow reload animation on top of that. So I just felt like I was constantly reloading all the time. And honestly, because of the slower rate of fire, one thing that people were doing a ton that was very frustrating was when they strafe from side to side, because of the slower rate of fire, you're putting out less damage over time, and so it makes it really difficult to get back on target and get a hit, because God forbid they strafe to the right, and then as soon as you get over to the right, they strafe back left, because then you're going to miss a shot on the left and the right. And so sometimes this gun is just really frustrating because it has a slower rate of fire. And I think honestly the best thing to do would be to up the damage. So really I think that my issues with this gun are less about the gun itself, because it's really cool to see, you know, Japanese weapons in the game. I would love to see them add some more. But the issue is that I think this goes for pretty much all of the guns that they've added after this update and that are going to continue to add, at least for LMGs, SMGs, assault rifles, are that it just takes too long to kill people. So for a gun like this, it's really, really hard to get more than 2 people in one magazine. You know, occasionally I can get 3, which, you know, like when I use the STG, getting 3 is no issue at all, just because it's got 30 rounds and it does decent damage. But this one is just, it makes it really difficult when you don't have the same damage potential. And so a lot of times what I would see happening is that even if I was hitting my shots, I would still get outgunned, especially if it was medium range. Like the 20 to like 40 yards, you will get outgunned so easily by other LMGs and assault rifles. But ultimately, the saving grace of this gun is that if you land headshots, it really puts it on a whole nother level. Because I think at medium range, if you get 3 headshots, it's an automatic kill. And so that's pretty quick. You can do that relatively quickly, but you have to hit the shots. And the slow rate of fire does make it a little tricky when they're on the move. And because, you know, people are unpredictable, so they're changing directions all the time. So it just makes the gun a little tricky sometimes. But that's my overall take on the Type 97. I think it has a ton of potential, but just because of the way the game is set up right now, it's definitely not my first choice. You know, there's some other things that, you know, I would prefer over this gun, and it shows. But, you know, I hope in the future that, you know, it'll be a usable gun, because it is actually pretty cool. It's a cool design based on the, or similar to the Bren based on a Czech thing. But I think overall this gun is like a 6 out of 10 at best. But that's my take on the Type 97. So thank you for watching my video, guys. If you made it this far, please consider giving it a like and subscribing. It took a while to get all the footage, editing, and information on this gun for you guys, but ultimately it was a lot of fun to make. Lastly, as I mentioned before, it's the last day of the year, so have a happy new year going forward. I hope everyone's had a lovely holiday season. But with all that said, I'm Twan, and thanks for watching my video.